Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of the Real Talk Real Estate Show. I'm your host, David Huffman here with Real Purse Real Estate Coaching, and today is going to be another Coaching Tip Tuesday. And this is today that we're going to go over is going to be something kind of unique, something that really maybe the industry has been teaching us that really has been costing you a lot of money. In fact, it has been costing you a lot of money. And so today, this is something that I learned personally about 12 years ago, 13 years ago or so, when I was in my production mode, and I was thinking like, why is it so difficult to continuously get a certain amount of closings per month? But then I kind of broke it down and realized like, hey, wait a minute now, this is really costing me a lot of money by focusing on closings. And so today's goal is going to be a little bit of a nugget that you're going to be able to look at your business a little bit differently, but mainly look at like your day-to-day business a little bit differently to give you an idea of what really you should be focused on. We always kind of focus on cutting the fluff here on this show, but today is going to be something really kind of minute, but I want to really challenge you to keep that in mind as you go from this point forward in your production day to day and judge your success kind of based upon this. And so so I've set it up enough for you. What is it, right? It can't be, what is it, Huffman? Come on, tell me what it is. The idea is that, let's give you an example. Let's say today is January 1st. Okay, January 1st, in the month of January, we sold 5 properties. Congratulations. We got 5 new closings, so 5 new pendings that we put on the board, and awesome. Life's great, right, for most of us in our production world. So then February rolls around, and let's say that 2 of those actually close in February. Well, guess what? In February, you're going to be kind of excited that you had 2 closings. And then also in February, you're going to be really excited that you actually have 3 pendings still left. 3 pendings, I had 2 closing. Man, life's great, right? Well, then March rolls around. And then let's say those other 3 pendings actually close in March. So in March, we're celebrating, oh my gosh, guess what? I just had 3 closings, one of the best months I've had in a long time for some of you guys, right? Then April rolls around. And what generally happens? We don't have much business. We may not have any closings. We may not have any more pendings that we put on the board there in January, February, or March. And so what I learned is that I can't control closings. Closings are out of my realm. Like, I know that I'm going to push a closing as fast as possible to get it closed so I can get my paycheck, right? I know that I'm going to do that as an agent. I know you're going to do that as an agent as well. But I can't really control it at the end of the day. It's up to the lenders, the appraisers, the inspectors, underwriters. There's so many other variables that are out there that are up to that, right? But so stop and kind of take that for a minute and think about that. If you really want to make sure that you're getting paid for your time, like in this example was January, we did a really good job with our time. We actually put 5 new pendings on the board. We executed 5 contracts in January. That's a win. But in February, in this example, we basically didn't work. We were just riding on the coattail of the success stories from January. And then we did the same thing again in March. So what I like to say is that you're celebrating too many successes, okay? Pick one and stick with it. Unfortunately, picking closings is not going to allow you to be able to ever have a consistent business because you can't control it. And I'll give you an example here in a minute what I mean by that. So in January, in this example, we got to the pendings on the board, so we know that we actually made the income of 5 closings in January. We just don't get paid for it yet. Sometimes it takes 15 days, sometimes 45, sometimes 6 months or more for new construction, right? But we know we're ultimately getting paid for that eventually in January. And then in February, we didn't really work. We didn't put any new pendings. We didn't execute any new contracts, but we were kind of on a high because we actually had 2 closings and we still had 3 pendings. But you really worked for free that entire month. I don't know about you. I don't want to work for free. So what I did is that for myself, I started focusing on the new pendings. What I like to refer to is putting new pendings on the board. Those of you that are my students know that I'm very visual when it comes to my prospects or my clients. Like, I want to make sure that I don't forget about them and stuff. So they're right up in front of me. Actually, the ones for my coaching is like right here beside me right now. But the idea is that I want to make sure that I'm always focused on what's really making me money. And that's executing more contracts. So start to actually work to look at your new pendings that you put on the board each week or each month. Okay, not your closings. And here, let me give you an example of why that's really more important than tracking closings if you want consistent income. Let's say in our same example, let's say that it's December, okay? It's right before that January, right? But it's December. And in December, we say, hey, guess what? I need 1 more closing in January to be able to reach my goal. I need just one more closing in January. It's almost the end of December. Actually, it's December 30th. Like, where can I go to find that one person? Because I got to hit that closing budget. That's what my goal is every month, to close X number of transactions. And let's say that I'm a buyer and I call you and I say, hey, I know it's the 30th of the month and the month's almost over, but I want to execute a contract, but it's not going to close for 3 months. Okay. I need 3 months to close it. Are you really going to tell that buyer, I'm sorry, I can't help you right now, write that contract because I only got 2 days left of the month that I've got to find somebody to be able to close in January? I'll call you in a couple of days once I find that person. I mean, come on, like, really? If you're tracking your closings, that's really the decision you should make. Sounds crazy though when you look at it that way though, right? Okay, so by focusing on the new executed contracts, no matter when they close, really ultimately is the only way to make sure that you're going to have a sustainable business over time. If your goal is 5 new pendings or 5 closings, you'll say for your income, right? You need 5 closings a month or 60 for the entire year, right? To get to the income goal that you want to be at. Great, right? Break that down into 5 new contracts that you need to write, 5 new pendings you need to put on the board each and every month. Now your job is just to execute 5 contracts. Doesn't matter when they close. 15 days, 45 days, 6 months, doesn't matter. We're still getting paid for your time. And those months that you only execute 4 contracts, okay, what could we have done different? We're slacking a little bit here, you know? Maybe it is some of the things that what I call planting of seeds. You know, maybe you didn't do your prospecting, put new names on the board several months back, and so now you don't have many A or B clients to really be able to choose from, or hot clients that are ready to buy and sell right now to choose from. Maybe you didn't do enough listing presentations 3 months ago, and so that's now kind of coming into hurting your business. You know, so there's some other variables that can play in there. But ultimately, you know your goal. Your goal is that you need X number of new pendings being put on the board each and every month. And that breaks down a huge goal throughout the entire year down to a bite-sized goal, okay? And then once you have that goal, once you know that number, right, what most agents don't realize is that transactions actually cost you your time, not volume. Okay, let me say that one more time. Transactions cost you your time. The number of transactions you do costs you your time, not your number, not your volume, or not your income. Think about it. If you've got a $200,000 house, and let's say you made 3% off of that, you made the $6,000 commission. Great, but that's only $200,000 in volume. So if you did also, let's say your goal was $1 million in production per month in volume, if that's what you're thinking that you need to be going after. I hear some of my new students will say, well, I still need $800,000 in this next month. And I'm like, what's $800,000? You know, if you were to find a property that's worth $1 million, it's only going to take a certain amount of time to get that property under contract. You still have a lot more time in your day if you're working for that entire month to do at least a number of 3 or number of 5 or number of 7 or number of 10 transactions per month. You see what I'm saying? So there's a big difference in the way agents really look at their time. And I may go into that on another Coaching Tip Tuesday where we really kind of break that down on how we look at that, because that's a big misconception in our industry. And you know me, I like to be real about things and cutting that fluff. So it's really the industry versus reality. And my job as your coach, and even in these podcasts to be able to share with you, is to really make that a little bit more realistic on what you really should be focused on. So the challenge I have as your coach right now is, hey, listen, you know, I know this is a small thing, just a small little tweak. At Real Perks Real Estate Coaching, we actually have dozens of these little tweaks that make us look at our business a little differently for different reasons that I had to do this for myself over my career. But this particular one is what allowed me to be able to have consistent income. This particular one, over the course of the last 3 years that I've been coaching professionally, has allowed my students to be able to have that consistent income and that focus. And trust me, I still sometimes, with some of my students that I've had for over 2 years, will come up and be like, well, I had 4 closings this month. And I'm like, whoa, time out. I don't care. You know, it's kind of crazy. As a coach, I don't care how many closings they had. I care how many new executed contracts they put on the board. And then I care if any of the contracts are falling apart. So if we have any issues, if we have one that's being terminated, I absolutely want to know about it. But I don't care when it closes, because they're eventually getting paid for it. Now, one caveat to that is if you are having problems, you know, paying the light bill, you know what I mean? If we're in that point where we got to make some income, then absolutely, then myself as your coach, we're going to help you try to see what we can do to be able to expedite that closing, without a doubt. but ultimately you just want to make sure you're getting paid for your time. Tracking closings will not allow you to do that. Tracking your new executed pendings will allow you to do that, okay? There's one little thing about this as well. When I say each month, this is a calendar month, because you guys will probably know how many transactions per month that you need to close to be able to get to the income level or the production level that you want to be at, right? So if you're going to look at those numbers and you know the number of units you're going to do, you always want to make sure that if we're down on that number, we've got to come back and actually put together what it is that we're going to make it up for the next month, right? It has to continue carrying forward. We can't just like let it go. So in our example earlier, I said 5. If your new pending budget for that month is 5, then if we only did 4, then we've got to fill that number in some other place in our budget for over the next 12 months. So that may be the very next month that has to carry over. Remember, results are what matters. So if you know you're supposed to have done 5, you only did 4, then we've got to dig a little deeper to find out why that is, what's causing that, but also make sure that we don't just like let it go. We don't let it pass us by. We actually will still tack it on to some other place to make sure that we know exactly what we need to do to be able to get us back and caught up for that period of the year of wherever we're at in, and be able to make sure that we hit our income budget for the entire year. Okay? So I know it's a little bit of a tweak, but ultimately it's very powerful, super powerful. And I told you earlier, I've got students that literally been with me for years that sometimes will still kind of try to creep back, because that's what the industry does to you. It tries to pull you back into, oh, you need to have, a certain amount of closings per month and stuff. Well, if you've got 1 closing 1 month and 10 closing the next month, is that really a bad thing? No, right? If it levels out to be 5 each month is your goal, that's not a bad thing. So you can't judge your success by judging your closings. You can judge your success and have consistent income in this business by focusing on the new pendings that you write each and every month, okay? One other thing with this too is that it doesn't carry over. In other words, in month 1, let's say you write 5 contracts. In month 2, you write 5 contracts. So you technically have 10 pendings, let's say. We don't say the number 10. We only say the number 5, right? It starts over every calendar month. We don't look at the combined amount of pendings, because if so, then your motivation is going to be like, oh man, I'm good. I got 15 pendings right now. But ultimately, maybe they're all carried out for a longer closing time and stuff. But ultimately, though, that's going to create a lull or a lack of motivation or a lack of a need to do your prospecting and follow up. You see what I'm saying? So you got to make sure that it's only for each calendar month. And not every month's the same, So if you know that you've got 2, 3, maybe 4 months in most marketplaces that are bigger months for you in production, okay? Remember, this is pending, not closing. So then you want to take your advantage of that. So maybe your budget's a little higher on those particular months for those particular indices that rise. But here's a secret, though. If you do it that way, and let's say that June, July, and August, let's say in this example, June, July, and August are your big closing months. That's your big closing months of each and every year, generally speaking, in your market. Well, our budgets don't go up for June, July, and August. Our budgets go up for May, June, and July, because we're tracking pendings. And we're going to say, generally on average, most pendings are going to take us 30 days at least to be able to close. So if those are the big closing months, the June, July, and August, then your pending budget needs to go up on May, June, and July. See what I'm saying? Okay. Now this is something completely different that nobody out in the industry has ever taught me, but I had to learn this on my own, because I definitely had those peaks and valleys in the income there at the beginning of my career. So this is the way that I was able to overcome that. And you're right. Still, some months I would make more than other months, but at the end of the year, basically after that average of 12 months, I hit my income goal. Actually, I exceeded that because I was focused on, really kept the foot on the accelerator, I like to say, on my business, and making sure that I was always putting new contracts down to hit my number of what my budget was. But I could also judge my success for that month. Did I do good? Did I do better than what I should have done? Did I just do my goal, or did I lack a little bit? I had that sense of adjustment, and you never will have that if you focus on closings, because you could stack 1 month from 6 months ago for some new construction, but say you had a great month, but you really did that month 6 months ago. You really did all that production 6 months ago. So a little bitty thing, but a big difference in perception and the way that agents will look at their business moving forward. So I hope that helps. Next week, we'll go over some other small little things that you can kind of tweak that I've done over the years with my students that really has kind of helped them stay focused on what really makes them money in our industry or in our business. And also, if you guys need to talk, want some help, want some one-on-one coaching, not help in your personal life, help in your business life, but I'm here for you. Let me know. Reach out, david@realperch.com. You can find us at realperch.com for, Realperch is the real estate experts that we are, and would love to be able to share you how we're helping a whole slew of people right now that just started like 2 months ago, already working on doubling their income in 2018. So that's one of our wildly successful like one-on-one program where we guarantee that you're going to double your income in 1 year. I mean, in 15 months. So I mean, that's a big undertaking, but the way that we go about our process, the way that we look at our lead generators, the way we choose our lead generators, the way that we look at our pendings and our closings, all this comes into fruition to really kind of build that together and allows us to be able to do that. So if you're looking for a coach, you're looking for a coaching program that's really like none of the other things that are out there that really can get you results and kind of guarantees it, then reach out. Let us know. I'd love to be able to meet you, set up a phone call with you and get to know you and see how we can be of assistance to you. So again, thanks again for joining me here on Real Talk Real Estate Show. Again, I'm your host, David Huffman with Realperch Real Estate Coaching, and I look forward to connecting with you here very soon. Talk to you guys later.